Aloha, Richard Halverson here. This is ITS 128, and we are working on Chapter 8 right now. And today in this video, I'd like to go over Project 8.2. So if we look at the projects, Project 8.2, multi-dimensional lists. And in this project, let's see what it is. All right, see exercise 8.5. Okay, exercise 8.5. Let's go find that. Let's go back to here and go to a table of contents and drop down to chapter 8 and go to the programming exercises. And if we go down to 8.5, it looks like this. Two matrices, write a function that adds two matrices. The header of the function looks like this. Write a function looks like that. Takes in two matrices, A and B. And for example, this two 3x3 matrices, it just adds A11 with B11, A12 with B12, A13 with B13, and so on. So it's for 9 elements in a matrix, it's two matrices with 9 elements each. There are 9 adds, and the result is each of the corresponding values added with each other, and that's what the resulting summation matrix is. So here's an example of we can use this to test our program if we want to. It's going to input this, and it's going to output that. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. All right, I'm going to bring up a new Python. I'm going to call it test.py. Oops, let me just do this better here. I'm going to save as on the desktop. I'm going to save it as test.py. And I'm going to put this in there. Let's see how far we get. What happens if I try to copy all of this in there? There's a comment. All right. Is that all I got? I want to get some more here. I want to get this thing. That's what I want it to look like. Copy this. It's going to look like this. And this is an example of how it's going to work. Okay, so if we start out here, so I'm going to have a def add matrix, A comma B, where A comma B are matrices. And I'll come back to this later. Let's start reading in some data. We want to first read in one matrix and read in another matrix. And let's see, what does it say here? The numbers in each matrix are entered in one line. So this is going to, I'm going to make this an X because it caused me a problem. Write a program that reads in two 3x3 matrices and displays their sum. Matrix numbers are entered one at a time. So if we look at, looks like this. So we enter this in, and then it prints out first matrix, second matrix, and the sum. So 1 plus 0 is 1. 2 plus 2 is 4. 3 plus 4 is 7, and so on. 9 plus 5.2 is 14.2. Okay. So let's, we're going to declare a matrix 1, and that'll be the first one to read in. We're going to declare a matrix 2, and that'll be the second one we read in. And we're going to declare an answer. I'm going to call it matrix sum, and that's going to equal this. And let's read in these. Let's read this matrix in. See, I'm going to read in a string. S1 equals input, and S2 equals input, and this is going to be S1 input, and this is going to be X2 input. And let's see. I'm gonna split this into a single list with 9 elements in it, and same with this, a single list into 9 elements, and that's going to be the. I'm going to name those lists L1 equals S1 split, and L2 equals S2 split, and then I'm going to want to create. I got to fill up this matrix here, and so to do that, let's see. I'm going to do something like I'm going to go through each element at a time. I equals 0, and I'm going to do, and this is going to loop through 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3 is going to go into row, the first row. 4, 5, 6 is going to go into the second row. 7, 8, 9 is going to go into the third row. So this is going to loop. So let's do rows here. For R in range 3, 0, 1, and 2, I'm going to create a new, I'm going to put a colon there. I'm going to create a new row 1 equals row 1, row for matrix. This is, this is, I'm just going to put row 1. Row for matrix 1 is going to be that. And I got to have a row for matrix 2 is going to be this. And now I'm going to loop through the columns for column in range 3. It's going to be a 3 by 3. So 3 rows, 3 columns. And I'm going to build up this row and append that to this matrix. And then I'm going to build up this row and append it to this matrix. So the way I build up these rows, I'm doing them both at a time. Let's see, I'm going to, first of all, to create this row, I'm going to go row matrix. One append, and it's got to be the float version of L1 of I. So this L1, okay, so this thing is going to bring in something that looks like this. And so I'll just do this for, and this is going to be, this is going to look something like, this is going to look something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is going to look something like this. And then this is going to look something like, it's a list now, so these are comma. This is, oops, and so on, dot, dot, dot. And so that's what this is going to look like. And so this is going to row matrix 1, append float of L1 over, this is, oh, it's, yeah, so I is going from 0, and I'm going to be incrementing this with each one of these. This, it's going to be the same for matrix 2. And then I got to increment I equals I plus 1. So this is going to go, this is going to start out at 0. And it's going to, this is the, R is going to go 0, 1, and 2. And I don't really actually need to, I never really use this, but that's fine. So this loop here is going to go 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, but each time this is going to increment. So when this is going 0, 1, 2 for the first time, this is going to be 0, 1, 2. And then the next time around, it's going to be 3, 4, 5, because this is just going to keep on incrementing. So this I is going to go from 0 to 8. And each time, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the indexes of L1. That's that. So this appends a floating point 1 to row matrix 1. So when this is done, this is row matrix 1 is going to have 3 elements. And when this loop is done, row matrix 1 is going to have the first 3 elements here, and row matrix 2 is going to have the first 3 elements here. And so we want to append those. Matrix 1 append row matrix 1. And matrix 2 append row matrix 2. Okay, so so when this is done, let's just tell you what. Let's just print matrix 1 and print matrix 2. Let's just see what these look like. We can probably run this. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to pull up a command. And I'm going to cd to desktop. And here is my test.py. So let me run that. Python test.py. And I have an error. Matrix 1, line 24. Oh, that's because I don't have anything here. I'm just going to put return. Does that work now? Ah, yes. Enter a 3x3 matrix. I'm going to enter this. Copy. Paste. Enter. Enter the second one, which is this. Copy. I'm going to make this, I'm going to put this over here. Paste. Enter. And we see that the first matrix is 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the second matrix is 0, 2, 4, 1, 4.52, and 1.1, 4.3, 5.2. So that would be this, and this, and this. Okay, so it looks like this part works. We have entered in an S1, we've entered in an S2, we've split it into these lists, and then what I've done is I've gone through 3 rows, and for each row I've blanked out this variable here. It might be easier for you to see if I were to do this. I'm going to split this. Okay, so this processes the first list, the L1 list. It zeroes out a row. It does 3, grabbing each of these numbers, making it a floating. It's a string. This is a string that came in, so this makes it a floating point number, and it appends it onto this list here, and so it's going to be 1, 2, 3 onto that list, and then that's a row. This is a row, and then it appends that row onto the matrix, onto this matrix. So we have, so this builds up the first matrix, and this builds up the second matrix. So now we've got these 2 matrices. Got the first matrix here, which is this, copy, paste, and the second matrix here, copy, paste. Maybe it's even easier if I do this. So here is the first matrix 1, matrix 2. Okay, so we have, and we don't need to declare matrix S yet. So here we declare matrix 1, we read in a string, we split that string into a list where each number is an element in the list, and then we loop for all 9 of those elements. We put the first 3, we grab the first 3, append that to the matrix, keep on looping, grab the second 3, append that to the matrix, grab the third 3, and append that to the matrix. Then we're done with matrix 1. And then here we read in matrix 2, doing exactly the same thing. So if we were to actually run this, run it. This is the first matrix. Copy, paste. I didn't save this. Let's try this again. The first one, that's the first matrix, and let's do the second matrix, which is this. And that's the second matrix. Okay, so we've been able to grab the first matrix, and we've been able to grab the second matrix, and now we need to add the matrices. So here is when we call our add matrix, matrix 1, matrix 2, and that's going to return a matrix. It's going to return this matrix S, matrix sum equals a matrix, and matrix sum is equal to this. And let's print this out. Okay, now all we need to do is write this. Okay, so Let's write this. Okay, so all we got to do is loop through all 9 of them. So we can do, let's create a S for, we're going to sum them into this S thing here. And for R in range 3, for the three rows, we're going to define a new row. We're going to sum each element in row 1, and then sum each element in row 2 and row 3 and so on. And we're going to sum them up into this row matrix, a row list. So for each element in the row, for C for column in range 3 columns, we're going to declare a variable sum equals A of row column plus B of row column. Okay. So 0, we're starting out with row in the range, row 0, 0, and then 0, and then this loops the columns 0, 1, and 2, and then this loops the rows 0, 1, and 2. And when we're done, the sum here is this is the sum of this element plus this element, and then that needs to get appended to this row. That's going to be appended to the row. And when we're all done building up this row, we're going to append that row to S. This is the sum that we're going to return. So S append row. So this thing builds up the row. It's going to, the first time it's going to do 1 plus 0 equals 1. 2 plus 2 equals 4. And 3 plus 4 equals 7. And so this is going to be equal to 1, and then 4, and then 7. And each time that's going to be appended onto this row. So when this is done, row is going to be equal to this. And then we do the second row, and this row thing is going to be equal to that. And then we do the R for the third one, and then this row list is going to equal that. I should call this row list or something. All right. So when we're done with that, we've got this S, and then basically we're just going to return the S. So this is going to loop 3 times 3 times, that's 9. And each time for each row, 0, 1, and 2, we're going to build up this thing, which is the list, which is this list. We're going to adding them 1 column at a time, 1 element at a time, building this up. And once each row is built up, it's appended. This is the matrix. This thing here is this S matrix, and 1 row at a time. All right, so this returns S, and that might be okay. So this is going to return S, and then this is just going to bring it back. This is going to return S. It's going to save it into this matrix, and then it's going to print it out. So let's see what this looks like. Save this. Let's run it. And let's do this one. First row, copy, paste, enter. Reads in the first row. And what's the second one? It's going to be this one. Copy, paste. And for a result, we get This is the result row. I'm gonna, because it's printed out here, so I'm gonna say let's make it easier. Let's see, that's the first one is this one. Second one is this one. And we end up with the result of 147, 147, 5, 9.5, 8.2, 8.2, 12.3, and 14.2. Okay, so right here, we have our result. And what you need to do is you need to print it out so it looks like this. To do that, I would print one line at a time. I would do this one line at a time. And to do one line at a time, I would do something like, starting out with printing matrix 1, 0 of 0, comma, it's the first one, 0, 1, and 2. And then I would print a, see, 1, 2, equal sign, 1, 2. Then I do this for matrix 2. In fact, I'm just going to cut this for matrix 2. And then I would do this again. And then I would do this for matrix sum. So this is matrix 2. And this is matrix sum, this thing. Okay, so this is, and I think we can, does this work when I do go like this? Is that how you do it? All right, let's see. I'm going to see what this looks like. Let's put this in there. And let's put this in there. And we end up with, this is the first row, 0, 1, 2, 0, 2, 4, 1, 4, 7. And that's what this looks like. 0, 1, 2, or zip, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 0, 2, 4, 1, 4, 7. Okay, so we see that this is the first row. The second row, you notice how this thing looks like this. The second row is the same except for it's got a plus sign and an equal sign in there. And then the third row looks just like the first row, except for we aren't doing, you know, this is the 0th row, and then the next one we're going to do the first row. Oops. So except for we want to change this to the first row, the row number 1, row index number 1, which is the second row, like that. So you need to fix that, and the point I'm making here is right here we can put a plus sign, and right here we can put a equal sign. So when we save this and run it now these numbers are going to be wrong because I didn't finish this. This should be 2, and you got to put the 2 for all these here. But so this is what it's going to look like supposedly a little bit. put this in there. I'm just going to do this. And we see that this is kind of how we want it to look, where this is kind of what the output looks like, where there's a plus. So it looks kind of like this here. Now, you know, these numbers are wrong. Why? Because these indexes are not correct. I just did this quickly so I could show you that you could put the plus sign and the equal sign here. But you've got to fix all these indexes, and you also have to take out, you have to take this out, you have to take this out, you need to take this word result out, you need to take this out, and you need to make sure that all these are the correct numbers. Anyway, so that should help you along with project 8.2, and you just need to fix that up, and that should work for you. All right, thanks for watching.